Where are we?
We might have taken a wrong turn because I think we've ended up in a Wyeth painting.
Welcome back to the Happy Hour, guys, and as usual, we are going over hill and dale to bring you the best in the world of drinking. And in this episode, we've gone from a Wyeth painting all the way to Loretto, Kentucky, the home of the world-famous Maker's Mark Distillery.
And the Maker's Mark Distillery is all around us. And so is a winter wonderland.
And one of the things we always point out is water, water, water. Water is so important to bourbon, it's important to beer. It makes each different bourbon and beer unique. And now you know why people love Maker's Mark the way they do.
That's right. This is some of the best water in the state, if not in the country.
There's a raptor.
Oh, stop it with your There's a raptor.
I told you.
It's very pretty.
It's very pretty.
Yes. He likes prairie dogs in Colorado, and in Kentucky, he's all about raptors.
And hopefully the prairie dogs from Colorado will never meet the raptors from Kentucky.
So let's go check out Maker's Mark, and let's drink some bourbon. Cheers. Here we go.
Now, you may know even better than we do that Maker's Mark is a very special bourbon, but what makes it so special? And since it's been a while since we've done a process show, it's time to go back to school. So here are the steps for making bourbon whiskey in a nutshell. Milling, mashing, cooking or brewing, fermentation, distillation, maturation, and of course, bottling. And at Maker's Mark, hot wax dipping. And now for one of the experts on why Maker's Mark is so special, our honored guest, Master Distiller Greg Davis.
Real quick, I'm going to stick this probe in there, and I'm going to show you just a real quick sample of our corn as we're grinding it right now.
Now, grains are very important to the history of Maker's Mark. There had been a distillery on this site in Loretto since 1805, and Bill Samuels, the head of the Samuels family, purchased it in the mid-1950s, and they started selling Maker's Mark bourbon soon afterwards. But instead of using rye in the recipe, they chose to make a wheated bourbon using soft red winter wheat.
The reason why we went with the soft red winter wheat over the rye, when you taste it, it's going to give you a lot of mouthfeel, it's going to give you that body, but at the same token, it's not going to give you that astringency more towards the back of your palate. All of our grain through the same roller mill, it's the same process that we started with our founding father, just to make sure that we don't change anything.
Maker's Mark is such an iconic label. It's world-renowned, and I think most people, and this is why we do what we do, is most people wouldn't have stopped to think that there's so much attention to detail, it is still handcrafted, it's all about tradition, it's all about family. So even though Makers has spread throughout the world and everyone knows it, it still harkens back to a different time when quality was the most important thing.
So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Happy Hour Guys Jacuzzi.
So after the mashing process and the addition of the Maker's Mark proprietary yeast, the mash goes into their open cypress fermentation tanks. And some of the wood in these tanks, it's pretty old.
You can see how old they are, and then all of a sudden you get into a new one right here. You know, some of these staves are well over 100 years old. In fact, we just finished setting this or filling this up no more than about 2 hours ago. And you can see it's starting to foam up a little bit. That's the natural yeast activity. What we're going to do is we're actually going to taste this. We're actually going to taste each one of these fermenters as it ages and matures, and you'll understand that sour nature. And it's, again, you'll see that it's not a rancid sour, it's more of a sweet sour, and all bourbon by definition is of sour nature or sour mash. It smells like a ripe bowl of fruit.
So after our good buddies, the yeast, eat up all the sugar and that sour mash, which is called attenuation, then that mash is transferred into the still, and after a two-stage process,
we have our distillate, or what we affectionately refer to as the white dog.
Oh, we're drinking out of?
Yes.
Oh! Here's looking up your old address.
we're here to tell you that that white dog was fantastic, but it wasn't bourbon. Remember, by law, you can't call bourbon bourbon until it has aged in an American oak cask that's been freshly charred on the inside. And the aging process is where the most incredible magic happens. Hey, you want to get your name on one of those barrels? Maker's Mark's got a really cool program.
Go to www.makersmark.com and click on our ambassador program and become an ambassador. Get your name on the barrel. Make sure you give us a valid email address that you will keep for the next 5 3/4 to almost 7 years. You'll be able to, we'll send you emails tracking your barrel when it's rotated, when it's ready to be dipped, and when it's ready to be dipped, you'll be able to come out and get 2 bottles from your barrel.
So that's our little walkthrough of the bourbon making process here at Maker's Mark. Tune in next episode when we'll sit down and taste this amazing bourbon and maybe talk about a few products they make that you've never heard of before. Oh, and one other thing. That symbol that's on the bottle, that is the Maker's Mark. Here's the secret behind that. And you're welcome.
S is for the Samuels. Bill being the 4th generation distiller, and then their original farm, which was Star Hill Farm. This is our Maker's Mark.
Guys, welcome over this way.
Yeah, that way I'll get the creek in the background.
See, look at this. He's framing the shot.
He's good.
He's
Hang on,
framing.
let
We
me
have
see.
to pay him now.
I know.